Well, in the words of Eminem, guess who's back? Back again. Marco.
I hadn't listened to Keith Urban, mate. I don't know about Eminem.
Not just you and I are back, but we're back here at Sydney Motorsport Park for the Truck Assist Sydney Super Night. A lot of supers, a lot of Sydneys. A lot to unpack, though, for this weekend. First of all, it is so great that we're able to be back on track. It's been a crazy couple of weeks in the world, hasn't it? So real credit to Supercars and everyone involved to get the teams and everyone here to make this happen.
Hey, Brian, I think and hello and welcome everyone. I reckon it's appropriate we pay homage to the teams in particular that packed up at pretty short notice. I mean, they're pretty organised. I think they did a really good job, got themselves organised because, as you'd imagine, in between races, race cars come completely apart. Engines out to the engine shop, panels off to be repainted, re-decaled. The car gets serviced, the transaxle goes to the sub-assembly department, gets pulled apart. So, hey guys, you know, you've got a day, get your stuff together. But teams are pretty organised, they managed to do that. But then when they've arrived here, they've had to keep working on their cars. But so many of them, Mark Winterbottom's a great example, have had to leave their, you know, their wives and children behind, young children. Quite a sacrifice, it really is.
Yeah, absolutely. We pay credit to all those loved ones and families who are at home and I'm sure keenly watching on this weekend. Of course, we're back night racing. How cool. And it's all about tyres, and Marco, you've got a few fun tyre facts for us. And you know I love a fun tyre fact. Or two. An FTF.
An FTF.
Fun tyre fact.
Well done, right. Well, you take a seat, Bridie, on.
Yes.
So what we've got here straight out is our soft tyre and our hard tyre, yellow and
I prefer
white.
them hard.
Now, this is going to be really, really challenging this weekend. So 3 weeks ago, we saw great racing here, which was a direct result of basically teams not having enough tyres to do the job that they needed to do. And somewhere in the weekend, teams were compromised, and we saw Nick Percat said, well, I'm not going to compromise one of my races, and he won it, which was brilliant. So I expect to see that again. But it gets harder this weekend because now we've got soft and hard tyres. Last time we only had hard tyres. Now, let's have a quick look at the tyre allocation. First of all, when you arrive here, practice sessions this morning or later this morning, you can use some previously used tyres from a previous race meeting, and you get two brand new sets of soft tyres, right? They're called handbacks. They're called handbacks because at the end of the practice session, you hand them back to Dunlop. They go back into a pool of tyres that you can use at another race meeting coming up for practice. So what that then means, from qualifying on, all you have is this: 3 sets of hard tyres and 2 sets of soft tyres. Now, that all sounds, well, that's lots of tyres, that's pretty cool. Well, I can tell you it ain't, because when we look at the schedule to use these tyres exclusively, look at this: qualifying part 1, qualifying part 2, top 15 shootout, race 10, blah, 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 blah. So all of those sessions, I can assure you, need way more tyres than that. How many more? Well, if I press my little button here, I'm going to call it Driver Dreams.
I love that button, Driver Dreams.
So if a driver was dreaming of what tyres he would want to get through this sort of, this little array here, you'd need, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, there's a couple of hidden, probably 10 or 11 different sets, but they can't have that. So the game this weekend is going to be all about, okay, when do I put my hards on? When do I put my softs on? So when you go out and qualify, when you go straight out of the gate, are some of the guys that are a bit faster going to maybe put their hard tyres on and see if they can out-qualify some of the field that are using softs, purely for the reason of preserving some soft tyres for later. For example, when you get to the shootout, tyres that you do use in these qualifying sessions, typically you would use soft tyres to qualify. You want to pull those off. You don't want to do any more than a lap or two on them and put them aside to use them later in the weekend. But whichever way you cut the cake, it just won't play out as you want. And when we look at the difference between the two different lots of tyres, we've got this new graph here going, right? So here's lap time. Faster at the top, slower at the bottom, and here's our race distance. So all the races this weekend are 32 laps. Now, the fastest way to cover that distance, no question, is to grab a soft tyre, right? And that line I've drawn up the top here, this is like a 5-second difference. If I could use my soft tyre all the way through the race, there'd be no faster way to do it. But the regulations require somewhere in the race you must do a pit stop and put on 2 tyres, right? So if you want to use up all your soft tyres, and someone might, Bryony, in a race, if they want to win, they might preserve their soft tyres and say, I'm going to take my soft tyres off and put another soft set on. Cameraman nearly fell over. Well done, Pete. It's okay. It's come good. You might you might choose to do that, but then, of course, you're going to really put paid to your other opportunities over the course of the weekend. Someone may well do that. So what happens here is, so the soft tyre will blaze along. It's got remarkable performance, but when it falls off, it kind of falls off a cliff. So here's a pit stop you might do here. Let's just say, for argument's sake, at lap 10 or 11. So then you bring out your hard tyre. You put your hard tyre on, and your hard tyre, then it has a much softer degradation curve, right, that might get you to the end of the race. So the question becomes, do you do that, or do you maybe say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start on hard tyres, maybe hope that I get a safety car somewhere here and put a soft tyre on 5 or 10 laps from the end, maybe win the race. I might say, you know what, I'm actually going to go, I might put 2 sets of softs on. You know, so there's all these variables, Bri, and at the moment I can assure you all the teams, if I just quickly go back to this one again, all the teams are working really hard on mapping out a plan for this. When do I put soft on? How long do I run them on? Where can I run hards that I would really like to run softs? And I can assure you there's somewhere in there you're going to get to compromise. So why this weekend of racing I reckon is going to be so good is Scott McLaughlin, Jamie Whincup, Shane Van Gisbergen, Chaz Mostert simply can't have good tyres on all the time. Somewhere along the line, they're going to have crooked tyres on.
That was an awesome explanation. And Mark Scaife here, you've been making fun of Larko in the background there, doing a few faces. That's not going to work on this. What was the funnest tyre fact out of all of that for you?
The driver dream segment there.
Do you dream about tyres, hards or softs?
All my life, mostly soft.
Go away. He was making fun of
I
me.
didn't even know he was there.
Yeah, no, he was giving you an eye. I just want to quickly note, and I think a lot of people watching want to know, can we expect the same type of racing that we did the last time he was Sydney Motorsport Park?
I think we've hit onto something here, Bryony, because as we know, historically we've had fuel in our races. So what we've actually been working on here is, for those of you that watch our telecast, know that I have a fuel strategy graph. So the last week we've been working on converting that to a tyre strategy graph. Now we're going to see fuel at, you know, Bathurst and some of the big events, but we may be into a new era of our game here, and I don't know for sure where we do more of what we're doing. You know, not enough tyres to do a weekend, soft and hard compound. So the answer to your question is absolutely, I cannot see why it's not going to get mixed up. Because of what I said, you're going to be compromised somewhere.
All right.
You want to have a go at this, Brian?
I've always wanted to do this. We're in for a ripper day. We've got 2 practice sessions, 2 qualifyings, followed by a top 15 shootout, and then the night race. And you can catch it all on Fox Sports 5:06, starting from 11:30 a.m. Eastern today. Larko, thank you so much for your explanation. Cannot wait to get this day underway.
Hey, Dave.